So in this video, we're going to talk briefly about pencil hardness. Normally when we're talking about pencil hardness or pencil darkness, we're talking about a scale that involves a number of H's and or a number of B's. So you may have a normal pencil in the middle of that range between hardest and softest or lightest and darkest at HB, but you might have a 2B or a 4B, that's as they're getting increasingly soft and increasingly dark, or a 5H or 7H, something like that. The range typically goes from 10H to 10B, with, again, HB or F being right in the middle of that. But that's not the only pencil scale. If you have taken a standardized test or you went to school in the US, you might have seen an American pencil, which used a test that called for a number 2 pencil. This would be the common pencil you'd see in an American classroom. While number 2 was kind of the only one that got talked about in those classrooms, it's not the only pencil in that scale. There's a number 1, a number 3, a number 2.5, so on and so forth. The scale doesn't go from essentially -10 to 10. It's a smaller scale, but a number of pencils do exist. A lot of them are vintage. You don't see number 3 pencils and number 1.5 pencils as much anymore. Some manufacturers still make them, but generally, you're going to find them when you're getting vintage pencils. So we'll jump right into some of the testing and try to move this along. So we're starting off now with a pen plus gear number 2. And I'm going to note the manufacturer name because a number 2 from one company doesn't have to be exactly the same as the number 2 from another company. It's not like a standard scale where the tone or the color or the reflectivity or something like that or the tone of gray is dictated by some sort of law. It's just sort of like a number 2 is a number 2, and then it may be slightly different if you move to another manufacturer. Okay, let's see what we have next. We'll decide if we're going up or down. So this is a number 2.5 from Eberhard Faber, and 2.5 will be higher, which means we are becoming a harder and harder pencil. So now we have EF number 2.5. And as I'm writing with this, I could feel it's harder. It might seem a little louder or chalkier to you. It's a little bit less smooth. Not really a drastically different color. You know, this is a little darker than this, as you'd expect from a 2 to 2.5, but again, these variations from one brand to another can change things. In the same way, a fountain pen, you know, the fine and the medium from 2 different manufacturers may be very similar. Let's see what we have next. This is the hardest one I could find. I didn't have number 3s lying around, but hopefully this will get the point across. This is a number 2.5. This is a Eagle, which is a vintage pencil, and the brand is, or the line is Murado. So this is an Eagle. And you can still find number 3 pencils. It's not like they don't exist, but just couldn't find any immediately. Anyway, so now pretty similar. We're not seeing a really huge variation. If anything, this one, the EF Velvet, seems lighter, and this one seems closer to the pencil plus gear, but I guess it's a little bit lighter. Okay, so now we have our 2s and our 2.5s done. Let's go in the opposite order. And we have this one. This is a newer pencil. This is an Othello. The company is Swan, and this is a 1.5. So you can see 1.5 is getting softer, and it's the equivalent of a 2B. So we kind of, as I said, the scale with the numbers is collapsed. So we're missing the B, the single B, right? Which the number 2, according to pen plus gear, is equivalent to an HB. Then we would have had a B, and now we're moving over to the 2B, again, in the eyes of Swan. And this is a Swan Othello 1.5. And I could tell from using this, it's smoother, much darker. As I write, you could hear less texture. Just listen now. Now go with it's that louder, chalkier feel is coming from the harder pencil. Definitely a good deal darker now as we get to the 1.5. And now I have two vintage number one pencils. They're called Very Soft. Back when these pencils were made, they wouldn't have called it a 4B or something like that. They would just say soft, very soft, so on and so forth. First off, we'll do this one. This is a corporation pencil, a number one. Much softer, much smoother, much quieter. We're definitely feeling the difference now. I think the Swan is quite dark for a 1.5. So this number one isn't much darker than it, maybe a little bit, but they're pretty close. I would generally say this one feels like it's about a 4B. As you get to those higher number of Bs, obviously but the pencils are getting harder to erase and more prone to smudging, so less friendly for left-handed people. Last up, we have this one. This is a Eberhard Faber wood clinched. It just means it's a wooden pencil, and the line is the hex around. It has slightly rounded corners. Okay, so this one is the Eberhard Faber hex around number one. Nice and smooth, nice and quiet, just like before. As we draw like this, you can get better coverage. And this one, again, is about a 4B. It gets worn down much more quickly because it's a lot lighter. And other pencils have been made. I think they made a 0.5. I don't think I've ever seen a 0, but you could see a number one would be quite soft. Very soft. I'm not sure how much past it goes. You'd have to dig through sort of the vintage pencil histories for that. Maybe there's a 0.5, like I said. And they definitely have a 0.3. You could find those even today. If you look on an Amazon or a stationery store, you could find 0.3s and, number threes. I'm not sure if they have a number 4, but I think you're starting to get the gist now. This is another scale, 4 pencils, pretty interesting. Not as robust as the BHB scale, but this should be enough to let you know that as you go down in numbers, you're getting a softer pencil, and as you go up, you're getting a harder pencil. And there is a number of, basically there's an equivalency where that 1.5 is like a 2B, and this 2.5, that would be something like a 2H. Not extreme, and still a very usable pencil. The main thing is this number scale is not going to get you up to that 10H or 10B or something like that, at least not nowadays. So that should pretty much cover it. Thanks for watching.